In the world of dog ownership, when you talk to dog owners who have had experience with multiple animals, the general consensus is that shelter dogs are the best. Rescue dogs usually can make the best pets. They've been out on the streets. They've seen what horrors are out there. They've had plenty of trauma and drama in their life, and they are ready to settle down. They've learned their lesson. No more jumping fences, no more escaping from yards. The shelter dogs, many times, are the ones that are just going to give you the most love and affection, more than you could ever imagine. Now, forgive the comparison, but what about in relationships? It is mostly deemed a red flag if somebody's had too many relationships, too many traumatic endings, too much drama, too much trauma in their previous relationships. However, I offer a different opinion. Now, for the most part, if somebody's had a lot of trauma and drama in their previous relationships, what's their accountability level? Are they blaming all of those previous episodes on the previous people that they were in relationships with? Or are they finding you in a position where they are saying, I know I did these things, I know I made mistakes, I made stupid choices, and now I've learned and I don't want to do these things anymore. Now, I know that a lot of you, especially if you're younger, you don't really want to take the chance on somebody like that. But as you get older, finding somebody that doesn't have a traumatic ending to a relationship, good luck. Good luck. That's a slim dating pool. Because by the time you probably get to age 35, if someone hasn't had a traumatic ending to a relationship, it likely means that they haven't had a relationship at all. And then that brings up a whole list of other possible red flags and reasons as to why that might be. So when you meet somebody, generally speaking, you'll see advice of if they have too many relationships, if their body count is too high, all these things, that you should run. My advice is to just tread lightly, inquire. I have another video on this channel about the 2 words that you should use in relationships: observe and allow. And I'll use that here. When you meet somebody that has had a checkered past, so to speak, observe how their behavior is and allow them to communicate to you what they feel about their history. How do they view themselves? How do they view the people that they used to be with? And another thing that especially men can look at is, do you, as her new man, as her new perspective, do you have similarities to the men that she chose before? Because many times when you meet someone of either gender that has had multiple bad relationships, you can kind of get the gauge inside of your head, like, I think they've just been picking the same person over and over and over again. And it might look like 5 different mistakes, but it's really just repeating the same mistake over and over again. So as you listen to them tell you about their previous relationships and the accountability, that if they're taking enough accountability that it makes you want to inquire more, try to get a general sense of, okay, how am I different from the people that she's been with before, or he's been with before? Because there's two very different sides to the coin. If you meet somebody that's had trauma and they haven't healed, they haven't done any of the inner work to look at their own personal responsibility, that's going to show up when you meet them. That's when you're going to get the woman that said the ex was a narcissist, he was controlling, blah, blah, blah. You guys have heard it all a million times. But in the rare occasion that you meet somebody that has done the work, that has maybe taken a few years in between the last relationship they had, and they're using the language that they're using with you is, I needed to stop. I needed to just stop and learn to love myself and learn to grow within, and I didn't want to engage with a relationship until I had found somebody that was what I was looking for, instead of accepting what was coming my way. If that's the language that they're using with you, forgive the analogy, but shelter dogs make the best pets. They're more loving, they're more appreciative. They've seen the other side of the fence and they realize the grass isn't greener. So I'm not comparing men or women to dogs, but you guys get the analogy. Don't just immediately hit the run button. If it's somebody that you've met and they seem emotionally well regulated, but they start to bring up these things from their past, but they're taking personal responsibility and accountability, you might have struck gold, because nobody in life learns anything unless they go through an experience, and most of the time we learn through our failures more than we learn through our successes. So I don't recommend like running out and finding 10 different people that have had 10 different relationships. But if it happens to cross your way, don't immediately overlook that person. Oh, she's been married 3 times. He's been married twice. Don't immediately overlook them, because if you dig deep enough, you might find that they've done the work. And if they've done the work on themselves, now you're going to get the best version of them, because they're not going to want to repeat their mistakes from the past. And all of the good emotions, all of the good juju, all of the good energy, all of the things that they've been saving up to do for the right person, you might be that right person. And if you are, make sure you reciprocate. That's the last thing. Don't just take. Make sure that you recognize and you tell them that they recognize what they've been through and how hard it is for them to trust again and to give to them the way that they're giving now, considering what's happened in the past. Accountability is key. That is the main thing that you're looking for. Not how many relationships they've had, not how they've ended, but their viewpoint on why and how it ended. And if they're taking personal responsibility, tread lightly, but you might have struck gold.